Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way YouTube page, X page, and Facebook page. My name is Ryan McGinley. Today, I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by Tony Haggerty. Tony, how are you doing? Kilmarnock versus Celtic. You looking forward to it?
Can't wait. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, can't wait for this, Ryan. The manager's made a few changes, as you can see, freshened it up ever so slightly, which I think was needed. But yeah, can't wait. It's been good news week for Celtic the past few games. Just hoping the good form can continue.
Brendan Rodgers is freshening it up, and so are we with our new lineup look. I hope you all like it. Hopefully, it's looking good on the video. I'll just read out the team in full, Tony. So you've got Kasper Schmeichel in goals, got a back four of Greg Taylor, Liam Scales, Austin Trusty, and Alistair Johnson. Midfield three of Callum McGregor, Arnott Engels, and Rio Hatate. Daizen Maeda on the left-hand side, Nicholas Kuhn on the right-hand side, and Adam Idah up front. The subs today are Viljami Sinisalo, Kyogo Furuhashi, Alex Bailly, Hyunjung Yang, Luke McCowan, Paulo Bernardo, James Forrest, Tony Ralston, and Stephen Welsh. So yeah, a couple of changes, Tony. Most notably, probably Adam Idah up front. What have you made of the changes that Brendan Rodgers has made for today's game?
Well, we did speculate that Adam Idah would come in, didn't we? And we felt that the last time he was here, he was largely instrumental in destroying Kilmarnock 5-0. Celtic clinched the league. So, liking that change, he's clearly not changed the midfield from midweek. So, I thought he might bring in Bernardo for one of the guys, or even Luke McCowan, but he decided against that. And obviously, Cameron Carter-Vickers, which we spoke about during the week as well, has been rested. Quite happy with that, Ryan. I'm happy with the way he's changed it, but he's maybe worked on the fact that Celtic are getting into a 2-week international break after this game. So, given the boys that started more or less the other night, with the exception of Idah and Scales, their chance to go out and win this game, put it to bed, and then bring the others on. I think that's probably his thinking behind that, Ryan.
Yeah, there was a bit of I think there was a bit of debate on whether or not Nicholas Kuhn was going to start this game.
Yeah.
I seem to remember he was taking, well, not he was taking off, but he had an ice pack on at the end of the game against RB Leipzig. That tremendous performance he had against RB Leipzig. I cannot believe that game was only on Tuesday. I don't know about you, Tony. It feels like it was forever ago, even though we've been speaking about it. It feels like we've been speaking about it for ages as well. It's all we've been talking about from Tuesday to around Friday, Saturday. Now we're back at Kilmarnock. You know, a place where Celtic won the league last season. It's also a place where Celtic lost twice last season. So it's a very mixed record they've got at Rugby Park. What are you expecting today from Kilmarnock? You know, they're a team that are quite, you would say, are back on form. A couple of really good results as of late. Notably that win against Rangers, a well-deserved one. Probably should have won it by more goals. I did watch that 90 minutes, and not to sound biased, but they were really good in that game against Rangers. What are you expecting today from Derek McInnes' side? Brendan Rodgers before the game was talking about how organised Derek McInnes' sides are. Is that what you're expecting today?
Very much so. I think they'll try and play a similar kind of game and try and hit Celtic on the counter. But I've got to be honest, at this moment in time, I don't really concern myself about the opposition. I'm more concerned how Celtic are going to play. Because I think this Celtic team have got a great chance of putting lots of people to the sword, or lots of opponents to the sword. So I've got a feeling that Adam just came in for a reason, and you watched him be instrumental in that 5-0 game. So I think Celtic are going to go at it from very early on, try and put Kilmarnock under pressure, try and score early, and as I say, put the game to bed where they can afford the luxury of making those changes maybe after an hour, 65 minutes. And that's what I'd like to see. But it's always a difficult game down here for Celtic. They made that the championship win, or title clinching win, look very easy, and they manoeuvred themselves into a position very early. I expect a similar type of approach today from Celtic. Whether or not they can make it look as easy as the last time we're here remains to be seen. But it's always a difficult game down here. You know what you're up against, and against a well-drilled, well-organised, disciplined football team. So that's what you expect from Kilmarnock. But I think, and I'm hoping certainly, that they are offensive opportunities are limited.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get in and talk about other individual players, if you want to support us just that little bit more, you can join our YouTube members channel for just £2.99 a month, and you'll receive early video access, priority comments, and exclusive members chat function. Hit that join button next to the subscribe button, and if you haven't already subscribed, it's completely free, and you'll get notifications when we go live with pre-match, post-match, morning briefings, and everything else. So if you want to support us just a little bit more, you can do so for free by subscribing, or if you want to add a wee bit of money to that, then £2.99 a month and you can become a YouTube member. And we thank everybody that's already taken up that pledge. We really appreciate it. Looking at that midfield three, Tony, today, Cal McGregor, Arne Engels and Rio Hatate. That's a midfield three of quality, of legs and movement as well. What are you expecting from them today, and who do you see as being the main player in that midfield three, or do you just see it as a team game?
It's clearly a team game, but I always talk about the offensive six. You know, the three from the midfield and the three up front, who are going to be, who'll decide the outcome of this football match. I think Brendan Rodgers gave those three who held the yellow jersey the other night the start again, because they have had 4 days, Ryan, to recover. It was Tuesday night the game, so they've had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and yesterday.
Nearly a full week.
It's ample time to prepare for this game, and it ain't broke, was it, the other night? So you're just hoping that they can produce, if they produce anything like Tuesday night, they will win this clearly and handsomely, and that's what you're hoping, because I thought the three of them functioned really well. Lots of people saying it was arguably McGregor's greatest game in a Celtic jersey, and others were also saying that it was by far and away Hatate's best performance. You can argue the toss over that, depending on how you feel personally, but you have to say it, in terms of both of those players, it was up there with the best that they've ever produced against a high quality team. It was very impressive, and you just know that these guys have got that in the locker. And as I say, I always talk about Engels, McGregor, Hatate, whatever three's in the midfield, and my Idah, Kuhn and Idah. These guys will decide the outcome of this football match today, because there's goals, there's creativity there. There's a dirty work there if you want it as well. There's lots of technical skill there, and I think that's what Celtic have got, which will trump Kilmarnock. They've got technical players who can raise it. Everybody talks about the surface being a leveller, but they train on surfaces like this. I just don't want that as an out. Celtic have to cope with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel as if the plastic pitch can sometimes be an excuse, but the way that Celtic played last time out against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park, it's not an excuse anymore. And Brendan Rodgers alluded to that in his press conference on Friday. Says we can't use that as an excuse ever again because of how well they played on that artificial surface. Now we know recently that they have pushed back, going to a proper surface, like a grass pitch, until when it's mandatory, I believe. It's not next season, but the season after.
Yeah.
I believe that's correct. Somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think it's now 2 seasons from now that they'll be changing to that, which is disappointing for me. You're always thinking about the plastic pitch and that, and it's always a factor in a game. It's not an excuse, but I just think with injuries, it can be a factor, and it does bring out injuries too. And that could be the reason why Cameron Carter-Vickers isn't playing today. He's not even named on the bench today. But no excuses today. Got to play whatever surface. They train on these kinds of surfaces as well. So they've got to go out and play and do their best.
Yeah, it's 100% the reason why Cameron Carter-Vickers isn't here. Surprised that Kuhn in the starting lineup as well. But listen, I told you I would trust the manager on that one. So, and Kuhn's on fire at the minute, so there is that argument as well that there's no reason to rotate him, and he will have a couple of weeks off after this, so I get that too. But yeah, I just I trust that team to go out and perform, and and exert that scoreboard pressure for a couple of hours, Ryan.
Yeah, because another team have put scoreboard pressure on last night with their 4-1 victory over Dundee at home at Pittodrie. From what I've seen, I watched the highlights after the game. Some really cracking goals from Aberdeen. I think that takes character to come off a 6-0 loss like that at Hampden, to go out and put in a performance like that. Even, that defensively, they gave away a penalty and Dimitar Mitov saved it. And they went, I think it was 2 goals up, 2-1. And then they scored another 2. They scored right at the end with Kevin Nisbet as well to really put that icing on the cake. But yeah, they've shown that they can keep it up. They've shown adversity. They've shown strength in adversity, coming back from that result at Hampden. And they're 3 points clear at this point in time. Yes, Celtic have got a game in hand. They can go back on top with a win today. But Celtic have got to do their business. Aberdeen have done already this weekend. So now it's up to them. The onus is back on them. And then if Celtic win today, and it's almighty pressure on Rangers, because if both Aberdeen and Celtic have won this weekend, 12 points clear, you know, the onus is on them. Catch these teams if you can.
Can only control what you can control, Ryan. So in Celtic, it's in their means of control to win this football match. That's all that's required today. Win this football match, finish this section of games, you know, on a high and proud of what you've achieved in this wee period. People say you've not achieved anything, but they've achieved a draw in Bergamo. They've achieved a real Champions League scalp. You know, a semi-final blitzing of the nearest challengers in the leagues. Looking forward to final in December. So your goalposts are constantly moving if you're the Celtic manager, and obviously the supporters their goalposts are switching as well. But you know, reflect on that over the next couple of weeks. But finish this bit on an extreme positive and a high, and that's a team that I think can do that, Ryan. And as you say, every chance you get to exert pressure on, you know, your rivals, your main rivals, although Aberdeen are their main rivals at the minute, but they have to match Aberdeen's result, because as you say, Aberdeen are currently at the top by 3 points, so Celtic want to be joining them there and on top via the goal difference come 5 o'clock tonight. And I don't expect anything less. I have to be honest.
It'll be a long 2 weeks if Celtic don't do that, and Aberdeen are on top, and they'll take that with a bit of confidence that they've got to another international break there or thereabouts up at top. They would be outright at the top of the table. Want Celtic to be at the top of the table, obviously, but you know these things happen. Is there anybody else you want to talk about with the team, or do you want to go into predictions? Everybody, get your predictions in the comments, and we'll try and read out as many as we can. I know we've already got a couple of them already. People are desperate to get their opinions and views in. What else is jumping out at you, Tony, in this team?
It's news to me, but I saw a couple of comments saying that the team was leaked again at 9 o'clock this morning. Now, if that's the case, then it's becoming problematic, and it's something that has to be addressed. I've already asked the question, and we didn't think that anything was leaked prior to RB Leipzig, but according to the comments here, and they can confirm that or not, if the same team was leaked for this game today, you can let us know. But I think somebody's already put it in the comments and said it was. So that's becoming a growing concern for me. I've got to be honest, Ryan.
Yeah, that is a concern for me too. And Brendan Rodgers spoke about how that can't be, how it can't. As much as it's understandable in modern football, that leak still cannot happen. And if it's coming from within, then it's got to be found and sorted and dealt with. You've got to plug that hole, because at the moment it's giving other teams an advantage, especially if they're privy to that information. They know that maybe Adam Idah's playing up front, so that can maybe cause a change, or you know the fact that they're playing Scales instead of Carter Vickers. Having that advantage can be detrimental to Celtic.
Having that knowledge at 9 o'clock this morning, then you adjust your team to suit, don't you? That's 6 hours before kick-off. That's a long time. You can have player meetings or call them together early and adjust your own shape. Brendan Rodgers alluded to that when I asked him the question at Hampden last week in the auditorium, and he told us he's done it himself as a manager of Leicester. It's been advantageous to him. So, as I say, it's becoming problematic now. Once or twice you can live with, but we're starting to stray into 3 and 4 times, and you know it's hurting Celtic. People have to realise that. The manager said it himself. If it's coming from within, you're not a Celtic supporter. So I just hope that it ceases soon, but it shows no sign of abating, does it? Which is a concern.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just starting some comments just now. Anything else that you want to talk about? Daisa Maeda, you know, he scored the last time he was here. Nicholas couldn't get an assist for Matt O'Reilly. Congratulations to Matt O'Reilly for scoring that late winner against Manchester City. I don't know how much he's worth now, to be honest. Probably more than what Celtic sold him for. But we knew that he was going to... Maybe a quick word on Matt O'Reilly before we get... people might not want to talk about a former player, but it's great to see him do so well for Brighton, coming on for his Premier League debut and scoring, after that horror challenge against Crawley Town. Great to see him come back. His manager was praising him, saying that his attitude was spot on, even in rehab. that doesn't necessarily surprise you. We know Matt O'Reilly, we know him well, we know how good a servant he was to Celtic. So yeah, great goal against Manchester City last night. He toppled the champions, and you hope that he just pushes on from there. But I know he's a former player, but you want to wish him all the best at the same time, don't you?
I think every Celtic supporter celebrated that goal last night. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy. You know, he's a credit. He's been a credit to the club. He's been a credit to himself, a credit to his parents and his family as well. So, you know, I get that he's an ex-player, but if there's somebody who has left the club that you wish every success and you want him to do well, it's Matt O'Reilly. Just delighted to see him back playing. Even more delighted that he got himself on the score sheet and scored a wonderfully important goal. And Pep Guardiola's team lost for the 4th time in a row, which is very rare. That's not Matt O'Reilly's concern. He did what he does best, and good luck to Matt O'Reilly and good luck in the future moving forward. And I think that's echoed with every Celtic supporter. And one day, you hope maybe near the end of his career he would maybe come back and finish his career. I'd love that to happen. I think he's still got a couple of years left in him, you know.
In any capacity, I think he'll be back. You look at Victor Wanyama during the week, I'm sure that it won't be the last time he goes to Celtic Park. Might even come back as an opposition player in years down the line. I don't think Brighton's his final destination, that's for sure. That end game that we talk about with players, Brighton is not Matt O'Reilly's end game. I'd say maybe the team that he scored against, they might go there in a couple of years' time. But I'll just bring up some of these predicted scorelines. So we've got Thomas Burns coming in saying 2-0 to Celtic, Jed Sweeney 3-0, Chris D 3-1. Some of the Facebook people aren't coming up, their names aren't coming up. So sorry if I can't call you by your names, but thank you for your comments. 4-1 to Celtic. Martin Davies says 3-0. Scottish, I'm not going to read the second word, but 4-1 to Celtic, 3-0. Ryan Hall says 4-0, 5-1. So yeah, there's a lot of confident people in the comment section. Tony, what's your prediction going to be for this afternoon? What do you think the score is going to be come 4:45, 5 o'clock this evening?
I'm going to go one less than the scoreline that clinched the title, and I'll say 4-0 to Celtic. I'm very confident in that team. There's goals in that team, there's creativity, and there's pace, which I think are 3 things that will outdo, will undo Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I think they've got pace all over the team. Delighted to see Nicholas Kuhn in the team. I know that he had that slight knock he had after the game. Maybe he was just nursing that. I'm also delighted to see Austin Trusty keep his place. I don't know how many games, and I probably need to check how many games in a row that's him started. It might even be into double figures now since the Bratislava game when he came on as a sub. Since then, he's played every single game, and he's played 90 minutes in every single game. He's a trusted, pardon the pun, and a reliable defender to have in and around that team. And he's lasting for 90 minutes. The same cannot be said for Carter Vickers over the past couple of years. So to have somebody that is coming into that team that's desperate to play, he's had a bit of a nomadic career, but Colorado, going to Arsenal, then he went out to Birmingham on loan, went to Sheffield United for a season. Now that he's 26, he's probably getting that run of games that has been quite rare in his career thus far. He's getting that run, and he's very much a first choice for Celtic at this moment, and we're quite glad for it.
I think he's found a football home, Ryan, a bit like Carter Vickers, and I think he's loving it, and it shows in his performances of late. And I think lots of people, lots of Celtic supporters, majority of them, feel in their heart and soul that Trusty and Carter Vickers is a central defensive pairing moving forward. You just have to feel for Liam Scales, who's been the victim of circumstance recently. But he's back in the team today, and it's no slight on Liam Scales. We have 3 central defenders who are now vying for 2 spots. There's Permany 2 from 3. The manager's gone a horses for courses in terms of today and rotated Cameron Carter-Vickers because he doesn't want to take any risk with him because there's sterner tests ahead, but obviously he gets an extended break as well, which will do him the world of good. And yeah, and Trusty, you just trust now, don't you? He's kind of came in and he's settled into the team and he's settled in very well. And yeah, you're looking for big things from him. He's achieving at the minute, Trusty. He was excellent in Bergamo, excellent the other night. But we spoke about it down in the journey in the car on the way down. His distribution's been on point for me as well, Ryan. That's a big thing for me too. Looks very, very comfortable when he strolls forward. He looks pretty elegant and he get an eye for a pass. And I'm liking what he's bringing to the table, and long may it continue. And that extended run of games that he gets just working wonders for his confidence.
Yeah, absolutely, and delighted to see him do so well for Celtic. I think a lot of people had made their mind up about Trusty after a couple of games. It's important to give a player 9, 10 games, really ease themselves into it. Not every player will hit the ground running. You know, even Virgil van Dijk, I remember him on his debut against Shakhtar Karagandhi, had an absolute nightmare against Stephen Moyakolo. I think he was alongside in the back line in Kazakhstan. You know, people were calling him a dud after one game. Now he's the best defender in the world. So you can't. Well, that's not even an opinion. That he is statistically and in the eyes of FIFA and the Ballon d'Or the best defender in the world. So not every player is going to instantly make it in the first team, but Austin Trusty's had that game time now, really showed up against Atalanta. I think that was the breakout game for him, and then he consolidated that with his performance against RB Leipzig, and he was tremendous. I thought he was one of the men of the match, although it was a complete team performance. I thought he was one of the standout candidates. Anything else, Tony, that you want to talk about before we head off the show? We thank everybody for joining us, 650 people. You know, 40 minutes until kickoff. We know that this isn't the only show that goes on round about this time, but we thank each and every one of you for joining us and really getting soaked up in all the pre-match atmosphere, the pre-match chatter. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Tony, before we head off?
I think like every Celtic supporter, the games can't come quick enough. This is the last international break of the year. Thankfully, we won't be back until March, but you're kind of dreading a couple of weeks without your club football. But I get that it's maybe a good time for Celtic just to kind of recalibrate after the games that they've had and just any niggles, get them out the road and come back refreshed and, before the festive, very hectic festive schedule and sandwiched in between that's a cup final against Rangers. I just want Celtic to be in the finest of fettle for that next kind of glut of games that come around that time. But yeah, I just look, it's a joy to do what we do in terms of coming to watch this football team, and I like what they're producing now, and it's great to be here to actually see it in the flesh. And yeah, I never underestimate that, and I don't take it for granted. And as I say, I think like every Celtic supporter, they're enjoying what this Celtic team under Brendan Rodgers is producing right now, both domestically and in the Champions League. And it's a long time since we've said that about any Celtic team that are performing to a high level domestically and in Europe, and long may it continue.
Yeah, Martin Davies coming in and saying, Ryan, what's your score prediction? I was leaving that till the very end. I was trying to figure out in my head. What was it you went for? Was it 4-0? 4-0 you went for? I go one below or one up. I'm not sure. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to put my neck on the line. 5-0 Celtic. I think this team are full of goals at the moment. They scored 3 against RB Leipzig. They can score 5 today. Not to be big-headed or arrogant or anything like that. I just think there's goals all over this team. There's goals on the bench. There's goals in the starting lineup. And I think that Celtic will put on a bit of a show today. Go back on top of the league in style. Get a bit more goal difference as well. The fact that Aberdeen scored 4, they've got +3 in goal difference now for the weekend. I want Celtic to do 1 or 2 more than that and get 5 goals. Keep a clean sheet, but get some goals in and really put out another statement today. It's been a week of statements for Celtic on the park rather. Let's keep that going. Celtic are now out to warm up. I think that's a perfect time for us to finish off our show. Thank you to everybody that's joined us today. We had the 650 people that have joined us. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. Quick mention once again, if you want to support our work by joining our YouTube members channel, £2.99 a month, you will receive early video access, priority comments, an exclusive members chat function. Click that join button, £2.99 a month, and get access to all of those benefits that I've just named out. Thank you to everybody for joining us today. We'll be back as soon as we can after the game is finished to hopefully talk about another Celtic win. Regardless of the score, we'll be on live at some point. Until then, guys, enjoy the game. Fingers crossed for another 3 points, and we'll see you as soon as we can after the game.